Alright guys, let the camera charge for a little bit, and should have enough power now to finish up this. This shouldn't take but a few minutes. We're gonna start reassembly now. As you can see, this is the new stud that I picked up from AutoZone. Luckily they had it. They were the only auto parts store in town that had it. So what I want to start out doing is most of the time I use WD-40, but I just found this laying around, so figured I'd use it up. It looks old, and figured I'd use it before it gets any older. But you just spray a little bit around the hole where the stud goes, and then what you do is you insert the stud, make sure it's semi-straight, and then you take your hammer and you just tap it in as far as you can get it. Right there. So it's seated in there now. The WD-40 really helps it with going in. So next what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the rotor back on, and all we need to do is, remember we had one Phillips screw, just line it back up with a screw hole here, and it should slide right on, just like that. And you can see how it's wobbly without that screw, and again, that's the purpose of that screw, is to hold it in place. So the first thing you're going to do is hold it up, and you're going to start your screw, and then run it all the way down where it's tight, and then it holds it tight in place. So give it an extra turn, just as tight as you can get it. Some people use Loctite or some type of threading glue. I don't have any at the time, and I'm not too worried about it coming back apart. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on the caliper bracket, and again you just repeat the process from when you took it apart. So you just slide it back on, and then you're going to pick up your two 17mm screws here, and we're going to start the bolts by hand. You never want to try starting them with a socket and a ratchet, because you can cross thread everything. So make sure it all fits really good and snug, and you get it started by hand, because you don't want to have to rethread something or have to buy a new part, especially with a car that's only 2 or 3 year car. They didn't make very many of them, and you can't find them in the wrecking yards. So again, you just get the top and bottom started. Once they're started, you just repeat the process. You tighten them back down. Okay, those are actually pretty tight. I'll try to put up a document at the end of the video with the torque specs, but this is just to give you a rough idea on reassembly. So once the bracket's back on, you're going to want to insert your brake pads. So I'm going to start with the back first, since it's easier. You have your grooves, and they line up in these grooves. They're both identical on either side. So you put them in like so, and push them all the way up to the rotor. Repeat the process on this side. Oh, one thing I wanted to show everyone is, if you look at the brake pads, one has an extra piece of metal on it, then the other one doesn't. Normally, the one that doesn't always goes to the outside. What this is it's a tool that they rivet on there, so when your brake pads get so low, this will start squeaking against your rotor, and that is a hint that you need to change your brakes or check them out, see what's going on with it. But as you can see, these are new brake pads. We just replaced them a few months ago. So, which brings question as to how come I didn't notice the tire in that condition and the alignment issue. But it's kind of scary, because if it happened that quick and it eked the tire that quick, then it's something that needs to be checked right away. So again, you just slide this one in, same way. Make sure they're all the way up against. And then easily maneuver your caliper to fit it back over, like so. Okay, semi-line it up. Take your 2 screws. Again, by hand, get them started. Okay, that one started. And you notice these right here, the type of nuts they put on these, they actually move in and out. So as you use your brake pads and as you squeeze them, that's what compresses, is your bracket stays still, but your actual caliper closes together to the bracket. So sometimes you have to get a pair of pliers on some of the older vehicles and wedge in there so this doesn't continually spin on you as you're tightening. But fortunately, with the newer stuff, they got smart and put grooves there, so it only can spin so far before it locks in that groove, and you don't have to have a backup tool to tighten it. So, and the same process. And the reason we got in this issue is we over tightened, so it's real critical to look at the specs, or if you do a lot of mechanic work, you can roughly get a feel for when they're tight and when you've over tightened them, because it'll get really tight at one point and then it'll start to loosen right before it snaps. So that's pretty much good to go. Let me double check these. I got an OCD with that. I don't want my brakes to fall off going down the road. That's not good. So as of yet, all we need to do now is just put the tire back on, and when you do put the tire back on, and our new studs right here, as you suck the lug nut on the rim and you tighten it, it actually presses the back of that stud into that hub a little more, if it's not already there. But I checked it. This one's pretty much set where it's going to be from now on. But alright, let me grab the tire and I'll put the tire on, and then I'll run the lug nuts up on there, and I think the video will be pretty much done. But one sec. The key thing to doing this is, as anyone that's done it for a while can tell you, is to be safe. You don't want the car falling on you, and you want to take a mental note or pictures if you're new to doing it, so you know the steps and what you've done, so you can put it back the right way. Because it's never good to have leftover parts or bolts when you're done. I've done that many a times, and unfortunately it never ends well. So alright, I'm going to try to keep the camera still now and bring it around. I know all you guys know what one looks like with 4 lug nuts, or 5 or 6, but there we go. The process is pretty much complete. I'm going to go ahead and jack the car back up and take the jack stands out, set the car down, and then I'm going to torque down to the proper specs on this wheel here. And again, I'm going to try to locate some specs on the torque settings and stuff like that for you guys, so you guys can, if you guys have a torque wrench, you guys can use to torque it down specifically. So alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.